And I want to welcome you. This is Frank Sardella, host of Will Work for Patients, Chiropractic Marketing Podcast for chiropractors and modern wellness professionals. I want to welcome everybody today. And today I am going to share my super secret chiropractic practice marketing formula with you. And I'm going to show you a shocking, most overlooked resource of patient visits, how to calculate, control, and tap into said resource. So let's get right down to it because I'm sure you're excited to learn something today and learn this formula and how you can apply it to your own practice growth. I want to show you today about a resource that you already have available to you at your fingertips, which will cost you nothing to figure out, and it'll cost you practically nothing to strategize on how you're going to handle it. And today we're going to do just that. But first, you're going to measure and control your practice wealth. Now, I want to clarify, practice wealth is a relative term. You could use the word practice wealth to describe an abundance of wealth that you have in your practice, or an underabundance or deficiency of wealth that you have in your practice. So today we're using the word wealth as a sliding scale, a degree of which your practice is prospering. So we're going to measure and control your practice wealth with those parameters using metrics you already have available to you in your practice. Now, if you want way more patient visits and skyrocketed practice revenue, I have one piece of advice for you. Do the math. You're going to calculate your practice wealth differential with my secret formula. The practice wealth differential is an index of how well your practice is doing. And this is something that is going to shock you when you find out. First, what you're going to do is you're going to calculate the total number of active patient cases that you have. Now, this includes all of the corrective and maintenance patients. You have those patients who come in every once in a while. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself, particularly when it comes to maintenance, because those patients who come in every once in a while do represent visits in your practice, but I want you to be honest. Are they coming in as often as they should? And your corrective care patients as well. Are they coming in complying with their full treatment program? If they're 3 times a week, are they hitting those 3 times, or do they keep missing and maybe doing 2 or 1 week? So this may take a little more research than meets the eye, but I can tell you any time you invest in this process is time well invested and will cost you nothing but the time that you invest. So the more thorough you are about this, and if you want to take a little time to do this and stop the video, definitely do that. It will be time well invested. So calculate again the total number of active patient cases, including corrective and maintenance patients. I want you to add all that together and write that figure down. Next, you're going to calculate the total patient records in your system. Now, a lot of you ask me the question, well, is it active? Is it inactive? I want you to forget about active and inactive. This is a total practice patient census you're going to take. This is the entire history of the practice. How many records are in your computer? And if you look at the example on screen, you have your active patients listed there, or whatever you and your practice management software considers an active patient, and then you have what you refer to as your inactive patients, or people who haven't been in longer than, let's say, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever your parameters are that you've set up. So you want to add up active plus inactive. Now, most software will just print out or give you on screen the total number of records that you have in the computer, so you may not have to do this calculation. But I wanted to break it down to clarify, because many of you relegate this to, well, let's calculate my inactive patients, or let's calculate my active patients. And that's not what we're going for. We're looking for the total patient population here. We're taking a complete census of anyone who's ever been a patient with a valid record in the computer, a valid case file. You're going to add up active plus inactive, and I want you to write that number down too. Again, anytime you invest in this will be time extremely well invested, because when you see the index that you're going to get and the formula you'll be able to apply, you'll see the value in this. Now what I want you to do is you have 2 numbers sitting there on your piece of paper, And I want you to take out your old calculator, and we're going to do a little math problem here. It's time to do the math. I want you to divide the number of active patient cases that you figured out first by the number of patient records you just figured out in your computer. This index is your practice wealth differential, as I call it. It's going to be a very small number. It's going to be 0.0 something, and usually a low amount of numbers. But I want you to calculate that and write that down as your practice wealth index, and we're going to use that right now. Next, I want you to multiply your practice wealth differential that you just figured out times 100. This is the percent of your patients that you're treating right now. And as you see here, I have an example. If that number was 0.0245, multiply it times 100 and you get 2.45%. So that practice wealth differential translates into the percentage of your entire patient population that you're currently treating right now. Your active patients amount to a percentage of your database. Now, this is something you probably have never figured out before. And if you see a number like most chiropractors and wellness professionals who measure their practice using these metrics, this should shock you, this percentage. I will tell you, the average doctor that I work with, the average practice owner, gets a number between 2 and 5%, which if you think about it, is a little bit ridiculous. So be shocked about that. You should be shocked about it. But I want to flip it around, and I want to turn this into a positive. Let's turn it into a positive, because being shocked about it, yes, it opens the door, but it doesn't really do much to handle it. So what can you do with this formula? Let's turn this formula around to the positive and look at what can we take away from this that will help the practice grow. So what I want you to do, that patients treated percentage, I want you to subtract that from 100%. This is your percent potential for growth. So take 100% and subtract that figure, in our example 2.45%, and you get 97.55%. This is your potential for growth. This is a much better way of looking at it. The way I prefer to look at a practice is I don't say, wow, I can't believe it. I'm only treating 2.5% of my patient database and get depressed about it. I look at that and say, wow, I have 97.5% potential growth right now. That's amazing. Now, I want you to think about it for a moment. If you just could reactivate 3 to 5% of these patients that you realize that you're treating, so look at that low percentage that you just got, that 2% or 5% or whatever it is. If you could just reactivate that exact same percentage, a very minuscule percent. In fact, if you think about it, you're probably thinking, wow, you know, reactivating 3% of people or reactivating 5% of my database, you know, I might be able to do that, right? And that's really what I want you to take away from this, is that a very small percentage, equal to the percentage you just found out, if you could just reactivate that much, that would instantly double your practice. Think about the possibilities. Now, think about yourself and your own ability to, or your own confidence in your own abilities to expand and be the entrepreneur, that practice owner who really goes after those practice goals and grows the practice. Think about your own capabilities. You might think of yourself as much more capable, or you might think of yourself with certain limitations, but certainly 3 to 5% is probably within most people's parameters of what they're confident that they could do. And that's what I want you to think about. But maybe you're beyond that. Imagine if you doubled that and you could reactivate 6 to 10%, and you're feeling a little spunky today and you think you can do that, then you could triple your practice. these are what the possibilities are. But these numbers open up those possibilities to you where you didn't have them before. Chances are your eyes have been closed and now they're open, and that's what I want you to take a look at. And that's what I'm hoping this little presentation and this formula will do for you, and that's why I'm giving it to you. I want you to calculate that. Now, just on this alone, I want you to realize that you could go ahead, turn off this presentation, and go rock this out on your own. And you totally could do that. And I'm sure you could think of all the things that you could do to reactivate those patients. There's many things you can do. There's mailings, there's events that you can promote in the office. There are phone calls that you could make. There's probably some activities that you already do that you could soup up. Maybe you've gotten lax on a few activities over the years and you want to go back. Maybe you used to do a newsletter and you want to put that back in. Maybe you used to do birthday cards and the postage got a little expensive and you said, well, let's cut that. Think about it. You're investing in your practice growth by doing reactivation activities. Now, this is something that I know firsthand because I do this for doctors and I have several tools that I use to help you and your staff do that. But you may not feel confident that your staff or with your existing resources that you can get that done. But I just wanted to make that point before we get into that, that you could conceivably just rock this out just with this amount of data alone. However, so many people to reach, so little time, right? You think about how burdened you and your staff are right now. Maybe you're short on staff. Maybe you have no staff. There are all kinds of different practice scenarios that occur. But even if you have a full complement of staff, you may not have enough hours in the day to be able to get all this reactivation activity done. And if you're doing it, you might not be able to do the amount that needs to be done to get the results that you need to get. Is that real to you? Think about it for a second. Think about what your situation is, and I want you to even write that down on a sheet of paper and do a full analysis of it. Take a look at what's going on. What are your existing resources? How tapped out are they? And if you are or can do patient reactivation activity, or if you've dropped it out, put it back in, how much can you possibly do? How much outreach can you create with the amount of resources that you have now? And how good could it be? I want you to compare it to what the ideal is. I want you to sit down and figure out, okay, this is my existing resources. This is how much we could do. But what's the ideal for me? What would I like it to be? Chances are it's several times more than the resources that you have available, and this is a very common problem. Now, I can help you with that, and I definitely want you to reach out to me if you would like some help in figuring that out. And I can even help you figure this out. I will sit down with you free of charge for a few minutes and help you. We'll put our heads together and we'll figure out all these numbers. And that's what I want you to take a look at right now. Now, I do have something I'm calling the salvation of chiropractic marketing, and even below that, I have many other resources that I have that I can offer to you as alternatives on how you can step it up exponentially. But there is one particular resource that I have been endorsing like crazy lately because I found it to be the salvation of chiropractic marketing. And I want to invite you to watch my free video. I did a 25-minute video that you can watch on just how you can do that in volume. How you can take what one CA can do and multiply it many times over that effort without having to pay an additional employee. And I want you to see that. So I just want you to consider that, and I want you to watch my free video, The Salvation of Chiropractic Marketing, How to Automate Patient Reactivation. I want you to go to willworkforpatients.com/solutionreach and watch the video that's on that page. You can read the blurb that's on that page, and there is a link there. I wrote an extremely lengthy article and review about this method that you can also read there. So there's a lot of resources, and that video will tell you how to directly reach out to me. But if you want help with any of this, whether it's as a result of watching this video or whether it's a result of wanting to know more or needing help from what you learned in today's video, I want you to reach out to me personally. frank@screeningexperts.com is the email address. You can write me there, and I will definitely get back to you. And I want to invite you to just reach out to me directly. You can call or text me anytime, 845-857-9418. And I'd be more than happy to have a dialogue with you and help you figure out what your next move is. And I will do that for you free of charge because I really believe that what needs to be done next is up to you. So I want you to take that to heart, and please watch this video and give it a shot because there's something here that could potentially really help you. And if this particular solution can't help you, I have at least 3 other ones, 3 alternatives that can also help you that I would be more than happy to discuss with you and tell you all about. I have lots of free advice to give you, so do that. Speaking of free advice, I do want you to tune into my podcast. If you're not a subscriber already, you are turning down free coaching, free inspiration that you could be getting all the time. I have amazing blockbuster guests on the show. Some of the episodes are solo, but all of it is action-packed, and we are just here to crush it together. And that's the way I look at it. I have very faithful listeners, and I would like you very much to be one of my listeners. So go to willworkforpatients.com/subscribe to look at all the different ways that you could subscribe for free to my podcast, or you can check out some of the episodes right on the website, willworkforpatients.com, and click on the episodes tab and you'll see some of the recent episodes. But do click on that subscribe tab too, because I want you to figure out how you can subscribe right from your smartphone, right from your existing device that you have. You can subscribe from your computer, from your smartphone, from your tablet. You can subscribe just about anywhere. And I want that for you, and I would love for you to listen and tune in and have the fun that all of us are having. We don't want to keep it all to ourselves. We want to share it with you as well. I want to thank you for listening to my presentation today. Please do tune in to my podcast and subscribe. willworkforpatients.com/subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. I hope you are going to crush it in practice with this special advice and you figure out your wealth differential and get that practice growing.